Good morning friends, I hope you're doing well, and I thought we could have a bit of a chatty get ready with me, but I've been seeing so much chatter online about growing up, being in your 20s, the lessons people have learned, and I thought this would actually be a really nice video to do before Christmas and New Year, going into the new season of life we're all heading to. So I thought it might be nice to share a few of the things that I've stopped doing, not because it's right or wrong, but because it's made my life feel better, calmer, and more authentically aligned with who I am and who I feel like I've always wanted to be deep down. So this is very much just a reflective chat, and I don't think I've ever done a get ready with me on this channel, so I thought, two birds, one stone, let's do two new things. I feel like your 20s are going to get a whole lot easier if you start to accept that your 20s are for feeling lost. Not because that's the way the narrative has to be, but for most people, you will never quite figure it out. And the confusion isn't failure, it's collecting data. You only really, especially if you want higher education at university, you'll only have really ever started properly adulting without the structure of studying until you're around 21, 22, 23, and how can you expect yourself to have it all figured out by your mid-20s? I think people don't give themselves enough grace, and especially when your frontal cortex doesn't develop until you're 24, 25, I feel like your adulthood starts then, so making decisions will be easier because you learn to realise that you've got to do as much as you can in your 20s before these larger ties come in. I started to hear more YouTubers that I followed for many years talking about how they don't really have it all figured out, or the more I hung around with people that are a lot older than me and I realised they don't have it figured out either. And I've come to accept none of us will ever have it figured out, no matter how old we are, no matter what we tell ourselves. We have so many options and so many different lives we could lead and so many possibilities. The sooner you accept that life's probably not going to work out the way you think it's going to, you learn to embrace the journey and enjoy the ride a bit more. One of my top ones here is to stay curious. I think it's really hard to do this when you come out of education, but learning and curiosity always keeps you more certain and less brittle. I think it's always good to be learning more, expanding your brain, getting new information. I think it's important that we always are evolving as we get older, and that's a core part of growing up. This is one I really wish I could have told my younger self, and that is that your interests will shift and that is completely okay. For example here, I used to be a massive partier and raver, and the difference is here is that I still love to go out and do those things, but now I'm way more interested in wellness and lots of other things. And the thing is that the raving never has left my system. I just do it way less regularly. So it's normal for your interests to shift, to change, to drop doing things that you were doing loads of beforehand. That is completely natural and is so okay. I think everyone feels like everyone's going to pass way more judgment than they actually are on these things. And most of the time people are too wrapped up in their own lives to even have given it a second thought. So if you're going through a period of life like that, that is my best advice, is just to let go of the thing or identity if you don't feel like it aligns with you anymore. A massive shift I've had since I moved to Australia, so probably about a year and a half ago now, is that I stopped listening to podcasts and music on my walks. Now don't get me wrong, occasionally I want to have a podcast whilst I walk, or if I'm in a bad mood and need to stomp, I like to have some angry music, but it's really good to let your brain breathe, and especially when we're all tied up on our phones and social media, it's really great to just be out and observing the world, being present, and you'll find you'll digest your thoughts and do like walking meditations far more presently if you don't have those stimuluses with you. And even on your commute to and from work, listen to the radio or just watch and observe the world around you. We don't take enough time to actually just sit and not be bored, but sit and look around without having loads of stimulation. So the more I've started to do that, the more I've realised I've become way more patient and aligned and more present in the world, finding small joys where I never thought I'd see them. This was a tough one to digest and understand, and I feel like it could be a bit controversial, but people's behaviour is a reflection of their internal world, and most of the time not to do with you. I feel like obviously this is subjective and is completely circumstantial, but a lot of the time you're going to come across people in your life that just aren't going to get you, or they do something that you just can never explain, or think or say something that you just cannot understand. I think that's a really valuable lesson to learn and to take forward, and to learn to react not straight away, and taking a step back and looking at what's going on in their internal world will help you avoid so many conflicts or know when to step away before a conflict becomes unnecessary for you. I've come to learn that natural nails, natural hair, natural makeups is actually authentic rather than trying to blend in and be like everyone else. Your unique looks and the way that you are, and you're not blending into what everyone else sees online or fitting into that box that is always and constantly changing. Just don't let the norms of society dictate every year what you're going to be doing for your makeup. It's just not worth it. This is one I observed the other day when I was in the supermarket, and that is that wacky people are so inspirational to come across in your life. And by this I mean freedom is absolutely magnetic. I have so much more admiration to someone who is dressed in a really unique way or carries themselves. I've come to realise that those people aren't scary. They're people that probably have great stories and a personality that will be really different and unique to what you've experienced beforehand. I touched on this in my evening routines video, which I'll leave a card for here, but journaling is one of the best things you can do for yourself in your early 20s. Or there's so many different ways you could do this, like voice note into your phone or talk about it if you're more of a talker, but there is something about writing your thoughts on paper and slowing down that makes you more reflective and helps you know what's going on internally before you react to things or the way you perceive things. And sometimes when I'm feeling really low, really anxious, there's stuff going on, just putting it down onto paper is sometimes the most helpful first step than before going and talking to someone, because sometimes you can be so wrapped up in the emotion that you don't actually even see where the issue stems from or what's really happening deep down. And I think I know that I have been far too quick to run to other people to help me. This is one that I wish I realised probably about 3 years ago, and that is that self-help has limits. I think it's great, we're always evolving, great that we're conscious and want to grow as people, but there are only so many therapy sessions you can do. As someone who's done a lot of therapy in a lifetime, there are no amount of tools, books, podcasts, influencers that you can follow that are in that niche that will fix you, or that will give you that feeling complete feeling. And people come from steadiness, not from answers, and no one is actually going to have the answers for you. It's something that has to come completely internally. I think everyone is improving at every age, no matter what they're doing, and we all have different traumas and life experiences that come at different times that make us evolve and change as people. Some people will meet you there, some people won't. Some people you won't understand now and you'll suddenly understand a few years later. I think this was one I figured out quite early on into my 20s, but minimalism, underconsumption is the way forward. Less stuff is more clarity and less responsibility to look after. It gives you more freedom, more flexibility, and your life just genuinely comes significantly easier. I definitely spend a lot of my time purchasing secondhand items now, looking for it secondhand before I purchase. I ask myself, how much will I actually use this? Is this something that's just a trend that I want to hop on board with and feel included, or will make me feel better or fix something about myself? So I would much rather spend the money on experiences like travel and fun things like that. This is one for your early 20s, and I think does apply differently as you get older and as you start to potentially earn more in your career, but start perceiving money as your time. And by that I mean figure out what your hourly wage is if you don't know it already. And when you go to buy something that isn't essential, like food or a clothing, a piece of tech, a holiday, something you're doing, ask yourself, would I have sacrificed 20 hours of my time for this? If it's worth 20 hours of your time, sit with yourself and ask, was that worth 20 hours of my time purchasing this? And I think that often stomps out a lot of your problems and queries and what ifs about certain purchases. This is a really hard and personal one I have learned recently and has been very prevalent in my life, and will be something I touch upon more in depth in a few videos time. But do not overstay people, relationships, places, companies, jobs. If you start feeling that there are more negatives than positives for quite a significant sustained period of time, enough that you've collected enough data to know it's not just a blip, you need to leave. I think the biggest thing that would help you with these decisions is that just because you've invested a lot of time and energy and love into something or someone doesn't mean that you have to stay there. And the longer you stay in these situations that no longer will be improving, the more harm and disservice you're doing to yourself. Learning to know when enough is a really important skill to have, and it's really hard to learn to say no and express your boundaries as you are getting older, but it does get easier. I'm sure you can think of a circumstance in your life where your past self has done something that has significantly improved your future by making a hard decision, or at the time something that really felt like the centre of your world, you left. And I think that is something to hold on to if you've had an experience like that, that when you do start feeling wobbly and you've got enough data, you need to step back and reevaluate. And just because it's not the narrative that you expected, or it's not the way you figured that things were going to go, or wasn't in your plan, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Normally the universe has a very steady way of redirecting us when things aren't fully meant for us. So I think that pretty much wraps up everything I had to say and talk about in this video. It's a bit of a short one today and something a little bit different, so I hope you enjoyed, but I just wanted to leave a final little message for anyone who's my age or younger who's going through something like this or questioning what the 20s is all really about. And I want to emphasize that you are not behind, you are not broken, you are just becoming, and that's a beautiful thing. And when you come to realize that your whole life you are going to be becoming a completely different person, evolving and changing, you're going to start to realize that it's a really beautiful thing, and we should be grateful to have our lives and all the people in it that are good for us. So I hope you're doing well. I can't wait to share some of my Christmas time here. I've got some fun goals about whimsical goal setting coming up for the new year that I'd love to do with you guys, and I'm planning on sitting and actually making all my goals and my vision board and that whole process together. So I'm really looking forward to filming that the next few days. But if I don't catch you before Christmas, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and if you don't celebrate, I hope you're enjoying this time of year nonetheless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.